You are very welcome to this talk. It's Wednesday the 28th of August now. Some information which I consider quite outrageous is still coming out about the pandemic times. This is to do with censorship. But let's go straight to the sources. Now, the sources I'm going to be primarily using here today are from this letter here to the Honourable Jim Jordan, Chairman, Committee of the Judiciary, United States House of Representatives. And it is from Mr. Mark Zuckerberg, who you've probably heard of Facebook fame, chief executive or something of Facebook. Now let's get to the precise information straight away. It's reported in lots of media outlets, which is very encouraging, I must say. Here we are, Mark Zuckerberg. Now this is the Telegraph in the UK. COVID censorship was wrong, and I wish I'd fought it, said Mark Zuckerberg. It was wrong. Facebook founder claims, this is a subtitle, subheading, White House repeatedly pressured his social media giant to censor posts. So we're having here complete admission of government pressure on social media to control the information narrative. And this is the information narrative that you and I used to inform our decisions about vaccination, to comply with lockdowns. This is the information that we based our thinking on at the time. We looked at the best available information. It now turns out it was censored. We only heard one side of the debate, at least from Facebook, and I had lots of problems with Facebook. In fact, I basically stopped using it at that time. Anyway, let's stick to the facts. Headline from this is actually in the BBC, for goodness sake. Zuckerberg regrets bowing to Biden pressure over COVID. Headline from Politico. Zuckerberg says he regrets caving into White House pressure on content. And the Washington Post. Zuckerberg expresses regret over COVID misinformation crackdown. Now, this is the link to the letter here on Twitter. You can actually get the whole version of the letter. I'm actually going to show you the letter briefly now. So if you wanted to get some precise information from it, you can freeze frame. So this is it here. That's the first page, or the first part in my screen grab. That's the second bit there. Again, you can freeze frame if you want that. And that is the end bit there from Mr. Zuckerberg. Oh, there we go. Founder, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, Meta Platforms. So that's the whole thing there if you want it in more detail. Now, let's look at some highlights. So this is part from the letter here. I'll just read some of this out, actually. It's pretty hard hitting. That's the text there if you want to refer to it. In 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humour and satire. Don't want any jokes, no satire. I mean, we've been using satire in my country for thousands of years, I guess, and expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. So this is the White House, the Biden administration. Ultimately, it was our decision whether or not to take content down, and we own our decisions, including COVID-19 related changes we made to our enforcement in the wake of this pressure. I believe the government pressure was wrong. So Mr. Zuckerberg believes the government pressure was wrong. Let me know if you believe the government pressure was wrong. I believe the government pressure was wrong. Let me know what you think. And I regret, this is back to Mr. Zuckerberg, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. I also think we made some choices that, with the benefit of hindsight and new information, we wouldn't make today. Like I said to our teams at the time, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to pressure from any administration in either direction. But of course, that did happen. And then there's also another bit that I'll leave for you to read out for yourself. It's on the screen grab, but it's due to, in a separate situation, the FBI warns us about the potential Russian disinformation operation about the Biden family. When we saw the New York Post story reporting corruption allegations involving the then Democratic nominee Joe Biden's family, we sent that story to fact-checkers for review and temporarily demoted it while waiting for a reply. It's since been made clear that the reporting was not Russian disinformation, and in retrospect we shouldn't have demoted the story. Slightly off topic, but it just shows that they can sort of upgrade and degrade, promote, demote, get more clicks or whatever. They have a lot of control, these people, to do that. But let's get back to the story that we are focusing on today. So Facebook and Instagram were wrong to censor posts about COVID during the pandemic. And the company should have fought pressure from the Biden administration. Mr. Zuckerberg. During the pandemic, Facebook added misinformation alerts, and I used to bounce on quite a few of my videos onto Facebook, and we had this problem. And of course we were fact-checked. I don't like that term, fact-checked. I'm sure you don't either. Anyway, it also deleted posts criticising the COVID vaccines or lab leak thinking. So COVID vaccines are all tickety-boo, and of course it didn't come from a lab. That was the official narrative. COVID vaccines were not tickety-boo, and there's evidence that it could well have come from a lab leak in Wuhan in China. Don't hold your breath waiting for a definitive answer to that one. We'll probably never get one. But we all have our views, of course. House Judiciary Committee, Mr. Zuckerberg admission is a big win for free speech. I agree. So far so good. Let's carry on. Another article from the Telegraph. This is called How Zuckerberg Censored COVID on Facebook. Social media giant regularly bowed to White House pressure to remove anti-vaccine posts and other content, as we've seen, according to this article here, that one I think. In Britain and America, government departments had privately put pressure on Mark Zuckerberg's social media giant. So this appears, according to the Telegraph article, to be the United Kingdom, which is clear from the Zuckerberg letter, but also the United Kingdom is not squeaky clean either. The narrative was controlled. The information we were allowed to evaluate and adjudicate was given to us. No need to think for yourself. Government can do that. We just say yes, please, thank you, and ask how high to jump. July 2021, Mr. Biden said they're killing people. This is anti-vaxxers. The only pandemic we have is among the unvaccinated, and they're killing people. From Mr. Biden. So Nick Clegg, who's one of the big cheeses, some executive in Facebook, and this is quoted from these sources here from the Telegraph. The behaviour of the White House over the last 24 hours has been highly cynical and dishonest. Nick Clegg, of course, is the former British Deputy Prime Minister, I think. So Nick refused to take down a meme featuring Leonardo DiCaprio joking that in 10 years' time, those who'd taken the COVID vaccine would be entitled to compensation. Tragically, this is no longer a joke or a meme. It's happened. And well within the 10-year time period that Mr. DiCaprio floated during that communication. Another specific here, August 2020. Facebook removes President Donald Trump post in which he claims that children are almost immune to illness from COVID-19. So here we have Mr. Trump stating something that's essentially a medical fact. Almost, not many children got very ill. Young children got very ill, of course not. But the view of the President of the United States, or former President of the United States, August 2020, can't quite remember where we were then, but taken down. Facebook removes it. So it looks like not only were I not allowed a view, unless it agreed with the narrative, you weren't allowed a view either, but neither was Mr. Trump allowed a view either. Censoring people of that magnitude really is a little bit concerning. You might be concerned as well. February 2021, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s Instagram account is removed for sharing debunked claims about COVID. These claims have been debunked, Mr. Kennedy. And, of course, we now know that the debunking was less accurate than we would hope. And again, Bobby Kennedy Jr. has done some phenomenal work on this. He should be allowed his opinion. If nothing, he has earned the right to be heard, in my view. There are just a few specifics. April 2021. Under pressure from the White House, Facebook demotes video in which Fox News presenter Tucker Carlson questioned the effectiveness of COVID vaccines despite the post not breaking the rules. So Tucker Carlson there, according to this, had not broken the rules but was still demoted. And of course, if it's demoted, fewer people see it, or essentially no people sometimes, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how these algorithms work. I'm not sure anyone does, to be quite honest. Matt Hancock, Secretary of State for Health, of course, at the time. This is from the excellent documentation, The Lockdown Files in the Telegraph. Sent Sir Nick Clegg a WhatsApp. This is Matt Hancock sent Sir Nick Clegg from Facebook a WhatsApp saying this: your team have been working really well with the department. So pleased that the team are working well with the government department. And the advertising ban is great, but we need to have a time frame for removal of anti-vax material and demonetisation. I don't want any counter-argument, thank you very much. In the UK, of course, we've seen the problems in the US, but in the UK we had the Counter-Disinformation Unit. According to this article in the Telegraph again, proper investigative journalism in this instance, a secretive government agency to spying on, does that mean it's spying on its own people? A secret government agency used to spy on, dear me, anti-lockdown campaigners during the COVID pandemic. The Counter-Disinformation Unit set up in March 2020 to combat false coronavirus information online, now named the National Security Online Information Team. And there's been some developments and consequences from social media posts in my country that I consider alarming. National Security Online Information Team. So we believe this is now operative in the land of hope and glory, mother of the free. How shall we exalt thee? We are born of you. The National Security Online Information Team. Nice sotty or something. Just to clarify, this is the United Kingdom we are talking about. Big Brother Watch. This article from here, I think, of this from their website, describes the Counter-Disinformation Unit, one of the most opaque units. Opaque means you can't see through it. In the government, outside the security services, and accused it of spying on free speech. Now, it sounds like Mr. Zuckerberg is not going to comply to government pressure in the future. Let's hope that is indeed the case, and that we have open debate, because we have to have dialogue and debate. We advance knowledge by the dialectic. You give an idea, the particular idea, then you give the opposite idea, and then you can synthesize a new idea. So the dialectic of debate, it has to come through debate and development. You know, I can sit there thinking something, and someone will say, just a minute, John, you haven't thought of that. And I'll say, oh, no, I haven't. You're quite right. And thinking evolves. This is how science progresses. But if it's not allowed, and I'm talking about science now, this could apply to any issues. We have to be allowed to debate issues. Are we allowed to debate issues? Well, in the UK, I don't think we are at the moment. Not freely. Censorship and government actions. Now, this book, George Orwell, 1984. Click on that link there. I'll put it in the description. You can download the PDF. we need to be able to debate these things. War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. No, war is not peace, actually. Freedom is not slavery, actually. Ignorance is not strength, actually. But we have to be allowed to debate these ideas. And I'm just going to close with one quote. Get the text and put it on your phone or something. You just read it when you're at the bus stop. It's chilling. It just brings to mind so many developments that we're happening actually now in 2024 in our free, democratic democracies. But actually, this is Winston Smith talking, the hero, of course. But actually, he thought as he readjusted the Ministry of Plenties, Ministry of Plenty, the irony, of course, figures that it was not even forgery. It was merely the substitution of one piece of nonsense for another. We need to be free to debate these things. During the pandemic, we weren't. And that led me to, for example, get vaccinated 3 times, which I wouldn't have done if I'd had access to all the information and there'd been free and fair debate. But in my view, there wasn't. But that's just me. Let me know what you think. But for now, with some concern, I would say thank you for watching.